Life begins not when you're born, but when you make your first decision. Until then, you're not living, you're just alive. We're all the sum of our decisions we've made in our lives based on the environment and the resources we have at our disposal. But your life has changed a lot and will continue to do so. By the end of this video, not only will you have an inventory of the biggest changes you've encountered so far, but you'll start thinking about the changes coming up ahead. Let's do this. Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Remember when you were little? Remember how the world looked and felt? Life was on autopilot. You went to school, you listened to your parents, you played with the kids who lived around you, and time was slow to pass. One day, it was the last day you were all together playing outside your house, and y'all didn't even know it was the last day. Then, life changed, but it changed by design, by choice. The first big change in someone's life happens when you move out. When you're no longer tied to your birthplace. You got off the train running on autopilot. Now it's just you against the world. It's awesome and hard at the same time, but your mind changes. Your personality changes to better adapt to its new reality. Moving out requires you to cut dependencies and figure out how to fend for yourself. It's the true test of independence and a measure of strength. Doing okay on your own is definitely more impressive than doing well while still living with your parents. With the way property prices and living costs are rising, the trend is precisely backwards. COVID didn't help either. This Pew Research Center graph shows us that 52% of young adults are living with their parents, and that number is only going up. This is the highest number of American young adults living with their parents since the Great Depression. And this trend would be a positive one if parental relationships weren't so biased. Basically, parents don't usually make for good roommates because you're still feeding off that umbilical cord. This leads to a general lack of personal development, which later on ends up affecting your future relationships. So move out and survive on your own. The second time your life changes is when you figure out who you are, or at least who you're working toward becoming. Finding your identity is by far the biggest challenging point in one's life, because everything you do from that point forward is the result of figuring out what the hell do you want from life. A smart person proceeds to figure it out and do just that. This is one of our all-time favorite quotes by Confucius. They say every man has two lives, and that the second one begins when he realizes he only has one. This cuts deep, especially if you're feeling like you're wasting your life away. Try, experiment, figure out who you are, what you like, and what do you find purpose in. Then, do it with all of your heart, and you'll find happiness and fulfillment. To support the previous point, you can never find out who you are if other people are the ones choosing the identity for you. So choose it for yourself, for you only get one shot at this. Might as well be your freaking self. It's only after you find yourself that you're able to evolve onto the next big change in your life, that of finding your person. People don't devote enough time to picking their partners. Statistically, this is the person that will have the biggest long-term impact out of every other human out there on your life. Romance is actually the single biggest life regret among individuals. Neil Roes, a Kellogg professor of marketing, finds that romance is the most common source of regret among Americans. Other common sources of regret include family interactions, education, career, finances, and parenting. And the discrepancy is huge between men and women. About 44% of women reported romance regrets versus 19% of men. Women also had more family regrets than men. About 34% of men reported having work-oriented regrets versus 27% of women reporting similar regrets. This is why divorce rates are so high. People are rushing into things that are not a good fit long term. This try, adjust, remove, find anew works when it comes to a career, hobbies, or even friends. But when you try to use it on a romantic partner, all you're doing is burning up fast. You don't have many true loves in your life, so use your opportunities wisely, because in the spur of the moment, your life might change. When your child is born. There's an unreal feeling when you find out you're going to be a parent. It's like the sudden waking up from a dream. Your eyes finally open up. It's almost primal. Your lizard brain has been programmed for this moment a millennia ago, and you're abiding by said code. The same code that brought you into existence. It's nature getting its own way. The meaning of life is to create life. Making the decision to have a child is momentous. It is to decide forever to have your heart, your genes, and a good portion of your soul roaming outside of your body. For the first time in your existence is no longer about you. Take a moment to deeply think about it. You're in charge of installing the software for this new being. You teach them values, how to navigate the world, how to overcome fears, and then you send them out into the world hoping they'd be able to find who they're meant to be. The role of the parent is to be a reflection of the world for the child. That way you can teach them how to thrive and find happiness in being alive. For years, you get to polish up their core value system until they're ready to form their own. They are not you. You're just responsible to equip them with the best tools you can, all while being terrified you have no idea what you're doing. But there's a moment in everyone's life when they realize they're now captain of the ship. That's when your father dies. Freud said that no man is truly a man until his father dies. For what is a father, if not the answer to the unknowns of life? Someone who's been into the unknown and can help you to navigate it. Someone you can run to when you need help. Someone to protect you. A father stands between you and the danger that lies in the darkness ahead. Carl Jung took it one step further when he concluded that this doesn't have to be a literal death, but can happen metaphorically. There comes a moment in one's journey where they realize their parents can no longer help them, not because they don't have the desire, but because they don't know anything more than you do. So you are your own parent now. It's weird when you experience it. It's the first time you see your parents as people and not these identities you've built up in your head. They don't know any better. Their shine can no longer light the road ahead for you. This usually happens around the time you have a family of your own and are ready to move into that role of the father yourself. For some people, it might happen sooner, and those people are warriors, okay? They face the world earlier than they should, but it calluses the skin. You don't mess around with those who had to survive on their own early. If you're one of the luckier ones where life unfolds steadily, you should see your child experience life for themselves, and you'll be a part of it. You are playing the role of the father now, and it changes you in the process. And then the world changes again. When your child moves out, think about who you are and what you've been through to get to this point. You've had the identity of the child, then you were the explorer of the world, finding yourself and your place in it. You found someone who you can face the darkness with, and then you took on the identity of parent. For roughly 20 years, all you've done is to make sure your child is equipped to become an explorer in their own right. 20 years is a long time to do anything because it gets ingrained in you. So what happens when your child leaves the home? What happens to your identity of a parent? Well, it doesn't go away. It never will. For as long as your child is alive, you will remain their parent. But the parental identity no longer serves you or them, so you're forced to change again, to find yourself once more, to find your place in a world that changed so much while you were changing diapers, band-aids, bike chains, spare tires, and more. Outside of your partner, there's no one left depending on you. So who are you? Where do you draw your purpose from? Well, that's for you to find. If you're in your 20s or early 30s, this is what's happening to your parents. They've been parents for so long, they forgot how to be people. Be kind and tolerant of them. Ideally, this search gets you to your final big stop in your journey, a moment that changes your reality once more. It's when you find peace. Now, this isn't about death, but about life. Peace is the square root of happiness. It's when your world is in equilibrium. You've been running for decades. You've been running for so long, you forgot what you were running from, or even if it's chasing you anymore. But everyone who runs with a purpose, that of not having to run away. At this stage in your life, there's nothing to run from. Everything good about life is already here. This last change doesn't have to happen when your kid goes away or you become a grandparent, although that's generally when most people can afford the luxury of introspection. Your entire life is designed so you procreate and find peace. A life well lived achieves both. We like that word, procreate, because it attaches an improvement to the creation part. A better you for a better world. Procreate. Everything else in life is just sub-chapters of everything we mentioned earlier. Whatever you're going through right now, whatever problem you might be facing, take a moment and zoom out to see which stage of your life you're in, and it'll reveal what you're missing. We talk a lot about money and wealth and how to build it, grow it, and thrive in an ever-changing world. But understand, it's not only the world that's changing. You are as well. So in a moment of complete honesty, we want to find out, what stage of change are you in right now? Let us know in the comments. And as for those of you always watching these videos until the very end, of course, there's a bonus. Change is accelerating. You're experiencing this right now. Change is social, technological, and correlated to our experiences. There's something we call the golden top of your life, something like a Goldilocks period in your existence, when your ability to understand what's happening, your ability to perform in the market, and your mental acuity are at their peak. Some of you are in the golden top years of your life right now. You've been climbing the mountain and now you see what's above the clouds. This is when you need to cash in. These are the years that will make all the difference in your life. For nobody stays up here for long. Eventually, you'll have to come back down and others will take your spot. We want you to really think about this golden top where your ability perfectly fits into the market and make sure you don't waste it. If that's you, we want to put some fuel on that fire because you're unlikely to ever be this smart, this healthy, this young, this connected, and see clearly what you need to do to get everything you want out of life. Do it now before your world changes. If this is the kind of advice that resonates with you, write the word golden in the comments. We still read every single comment you post. We're not joking. Put us to the test and see.